One of my past videos, I discussed how I regretted selling one of my condos. But for this video, we're here on a new location in one of the condos that I currently own. And we're gonna talk about why I actually don't regret keeping this condo, even in the condo environment of today. And if you had any questions about the Toronto condo market or the market in general, you can click on that first link in the description down below or scan the QR code to book in a call at any time that works for you. One of the notable features in that video where I was talking about how I regretted selling one of those condos that I purchased back in 2014 for less than $300,000. And one of the biggest reasons why I regret selling it is because that condo did appreciate quite a bit in the time that I would have owned it instead of selling it, when I kind of felt that the market really wasn't trucking along the way I would have expected. This is one of the condos that I did end up purchasing along that timeline. And even though it's not the same caliber as the last condo, which was that 2-floor loft over 750 square feet with an amazing view and just a really big feel, 2 bathrooms, really nice setup. This is one of those condos that I actually am happy that I kept, even with the ebbs and flows of the Toronto real estate market. We also saw in the time that I've owned this, the peak of 2022, which prices went up like crazy, and I could have got a pretty good price for this place at that time. And now it's back to more of the level that it maybe should have been since the time I've owned it. And I purchased this one in 2018. There's a couple reasons why I really love this property. And I know condos have been getting a lot of flack these days. And one of the things I always hear is shoebox in the sky, or there's too many of them, or they're too cookie cutter. And while that is very true for a lot of condos, there are a few non-negotiables when it comes to purchasing a condo, even in today's market or in any market for that matter. So let's talk about why this condo checks a lot of those boxes of why I kept it in any market. And the first one is location. When we're talking about condos, you're generally buying for the location. Typically, you're purchasing in an area that maybe purchasing a detached property or a freehold property is just a little bit too far out of reach for most buyers. So a condo becomes a more affordable option in those best areas of the city. This property is located very close to the Well, close to Stack Market, walkability to King West, Queen West, easy access to transit, getting to Union Station, to the Lakeshore. It's really one of those areas that checks a lot of boxes, whether you're coming to the city for a weekend or you wanted to live here full time, get access to wherever you work, especially if it's in the downtown core. This property for me is a rental property, but that location is something I can never change, and it's a big reason why I chose this property. The other piece that goes along with location is what is getting built around the property. And for this condo, it is a lower level condo, so it's only on the 3rd floor, which it's not a huge building, it's a bit of a boutique building, but knowing that the view won't get affected because it's at the corner and it's basically a corner unit looking over into some of the monarch areas of the city that can't be touched or developed on, keeping that view is super important. Now, I did have a CN Tower view at one point from the balcony, but that is unfortunately since been gone from a new development. However, there's still really good east-west views and lots of light coming in. As you can see, this is basically the natural light from the condo. For location, we know that we can't just pick up the property and move it. So location cannot be changed, and same old tried and true location, location, location. Next up is the property itself, and how functional is the property for everyday life. When deciphering amongst the sea of condos on the market, there are a few non-negotiables in my opinion that I think you need to really consider when it comes to purchasing a condo if you are in the market for a condo. When we talk about livability, I'm pointing at the TV because I always say, where would you put a TV and where would you put the couch? One of the big knocks on a lot of the newer buildings these days is that there is no couch or TV space and a lot of angles on those walls. And if you take a look at some other videos that talk about floor plans and which ones are better than others, I really make that pretty clear. Having a full setup for TV and couch in a condo definitely adds to the functionality. And there are some buildings that stand out more than others, especially when it comes to what those layouts look like. A dedicated bedroom with an actual door, a full-size washer and dryer, and kitchen appliances that are more the built-in type, more streamlined, that still look modern, even though this building is now about 7 years old. When looking at the bathroom, it was also basically a turnkey bathroom with modern finishes. When I purchased this property, those were some of the elements that really stood out to me. And when I'm shopping with buyers and helping them along their journey to find condos, these are some of the non-negotiables that I feel will always have that upside. Now, if you are trying to make some compromise or trying to get a better deal on a property, generally something that needs a little more work will generally be a better price. Now, keep in mind, there is a cost to do the renovations and there's a time factor as well. So knowing what exactly that looks like and what those costs are will definitely help you on your journey. One of the other bonuses of this property is there is a pretty good sized balcony. And I actually like the fact that there is a balcony. I don't always feel that a balcony is a deal breaker, especially if for example, you're looking at a loft or some kind of unique space, but having the outdoor space or the ability to just step outside is definitely a bonus in my opinion. Now, if we're taking a look at location, property, the next one is price. And that's why I don't regret selling this property, even though the market has ebbed and flowed since purchasing it. I purchased this property back in 2018. And if actually you remember back then, 2018 was not the hottest of markets in Toronto real estate. Things were ramping up into 2017 and definitely cooled off quite a bit after the big rush of 2017. And the government brought in the fair market housing plan. We saw a big cool off in properties of all types. And it's a kind of a similar thing to what we're seeing right now, although not quite as extreme. But back in 2017 to 2018, we did see a big drop off in price. And even though that was going on, I actually had no idea when I was looking to purchase this property. I wasn't in real estate back then. All I knew is that I wanted to buy a condo in the city in a great location and something that would be functional for me at the time and something that I could keep after moving out of this property into another property. And that's exactly what I did. So that's why when I take a look at some of the regrets that I made in Toronto real estate, and this is one of those properties that I'm actually happy I ended up keeping with all the ebbs and flows in the Toronto real estate market. If you are looking to make a move into a condo in the city of Toronto, when we're looking at all the inventory on the market, it's important to decipher what makes sense and what doesn't, starting with location, starting with the property, and then of course price is a big factor, but also your needs and where you're at in your life at this moment in time. If this is a property that you could live in for the next 5 to 10 years or even for a few years time and then either keep it as a rental or ideally springboard it into your next property, a condo might make sense for you in any market. And especially when we're seeing so many options out there, generally when the more inventory there is on the market, the better price you will get on that property. I actually just noticed that I left that QR code down below. So if you did want to book a call to discuss your condo buying journey in any market, click on that first link or scan the QR code. I'm Michael Ouzas. Thanks for watching.